Oh, kabam. That's like slightly super official. Thank you, StreamYard, for your stock video. They gave me a minute to go and push all the buttons, and y'all didn't have to listen to it. Wow. Okay, so today's really, really cool because it's Tuesday. But before I get into all the surprises, welcome back to my little segment I invented, because one day I realized people were not talking about the things that I wanted to talk about, which was primarily how to work in the adult retail industry, the people behind it, and just taking a minute to celebrate where we come from. So what started as me kind of talking into the void, as I call it, the ether, the interwebs here, because nobody was talking about what I wanted to talk about. I am completely privileged and blessed and so excited that you guys, the audience, continue to talk back to me. So this is all your fault, really. Ha ha, I kid. We also have producer Ryan in the background today, so he can make sure that if you do have questions, I don't miss anything. But also he's gonna help do these lovely banners at the bottom, because I'm not on YouTube. These are your cute little tags for you to follow along. Ren, oh my goodness, hi love, how are you? I'm hoping I'll be in Seattle here in a few months. We'll talk about that later. Anyways, if you're new here, I'm Tori, Sales Director of Paradise, which is Paradise Marketing and Paradise Pleasure Products. We have kind of an umbrella of two different companies right now. So if you've been around for a while, thank you for joining me to the glow up, right? Before that, I was doing liquids. I've spent 3 years in condoms, and now touching into sex tech with the Illumination line. So typically we spend a lot of time talking about products, which I love. And then we, of course, spend a lot of time talking about sales. But I don't know that we spend enough time talking about the people, the relationships, the challenges, and some of the ideas that are actually moving the industry forward. I don't know if it's fault. It just hasn't necessarily been discussed, maybe. So what started as my rant has now become whatever this live stream is, with surprises. So thanks, whether you've been here since episode 1 or it's your first one, welcome. We're happy to have you. Do as the Ren does and feel free to say hello. We'll put your comments up, but also feel free to engage. This is a live show. I wanted to feel like people can reach out and have questions and be inspired. All right, so guess what? Today's topic I'm excited about, because I don't know if anybody has caught on, but there was a large stint of my career where I was responsible for the events and event planning. And one of those big events is ANME, the ANME show. I've made lifelong friends talking to people at the show, coordinating the show, and being a part of it. I believe trade shows aren't just about placing orders. They're about discovering opportunities that maybe you didn't know existed. So without further ado, ANME it's especially exciting this year because they're celebrating their 30 years of just bringing an industry together. That's a lot of handshakes. That's a lot of kissing babies and shaking hands, or shaking babies and kissing hands, right? So tonight I want to talk about why those relationships still matter, how to get the most from the shows when you attend, because we all got bosses. I have a boss. He's got to know that we're booked and we got a plan and I'm making most out of it. But how can you make the most out of things that maybe don't have the ROI, right? Like, how do you make this an opportunity? So today, without further ado, I don't know, can we bring in our happy guests? We got Lacy, which I know everybody was excited to hear from and see. She is the show director at the ANME show. And surprise, we have Chad Braverman. One of the founders or son of a founder, I don't know. Chad does a lot of things at Doc Johnson, and I'm trying to keep my cool here because he decided to join us too. So this is going to be great. The outline I make, I never follow it anyways, right? But we'll see how this goes. So hey guys, welcome. Thank you for coming. Look at this producer value from Brian here. Thank you so much. Lacy, since the audience was expecting you, I don't know, do you want to go ahead first and kind of let everybody who you are and how you got here? Specifically to my show, if you want, not just the industry.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Tori. This is really exciting. This is the first time that I've been on a show really to talk about the event. So thank you. I have been in sales and marketing and events specifically since 2007. So for a very long time. Trade shows have always been kind of my baby. I have my first produced a trade show in Las Vegas in 2007. So they've just kind of been a love for me. So a lot of people don't know that I used to be the sales and marketing director at Store Erotica from
I
07.
did.
Oh, good. Until 2017. So for 10 years, I worked there, fell in love with the industry. My first ANME show was in 07. So I was an attendee for a very long time, and helping produce the Store Erotica Awards with Chris. So I had a different level then, which is great now to come on this side. So I was fortunate enough in 2023, Chad called me and said, there's been some changes. Are you interested in helping us? So
there's been some changes since 2023.
Yeah, and jumped right in.
I think you're doing fabulous. Let's give it to Chad here for a minute. I think you've got a way longer story, so I want to give you that time, but also welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you for letting me crash your party here.
We just got to watch out for the airplanes, apparently. Just kidding.
I'm Chad Braverman, COO over at Doc Johnson. Spent my whole career here, and I've been intimately involved in ANME for, I don't know, probably about 25 of those 30 years.
Just a little bit of those years.
It's crazy. I actually thought it was longer because I do feel like ANME was going on way before my time. But when I look at the years, I think I used to work over the summers here at Doc Johnson. And so the July show always happens over the summer. And so I would always be a part of it, help loading in, help setting up the booths, just kind of being around and whatnot. And then started officially working here in 2004.
Where'd you start? Like in the warehouse?
I started in the warehouse over the summers. Yeah.
I think that's great. My boss is doing similar. He's hiring all the college kids and 18-year-olds, including his son. They're all picking and packing for me. I love it.
Yeah, I worked in the shipping department going into my freshman year of high school. And then pretty much everywhere else in the company. And then in 2004, started in the purchasing department. But yeah, I always went to the ANMEs from Universal Studio, the Universal City Days, through, I remember 1 or 2 shows in Woodland Hills. We did a show in Pasadena. And then we have been in Burbank for a long time now, maybe 18 years or something like that, it feels like.
It's I was going to say, it's always been at Burbank for me. And I'm like, I'm 14, 13 years in the industry.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with them. They've been amazing to us. So it's been great there. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that the 30th anniversary is coming up. So
it's a great segue. I was like, we'll just jump
letting me crash.
We are.
And I'm sorry. I hope you don't think that I'm not sitting upright. I ruptured my Achilles last week. And so I'm sitting here with my leg elevated. And so I'm kind of in a nonchalant lean back pose. And I don't want you to think it's indicative of my it's funny, excitement for being here.
I do the same thing. I'll be like, oh, sorry, I have my retainer in. That's why I'm talking weird, or whatever it is. And people are like, oh, I wouldn't have even noticed. Or I'm like, don't look at my zit. And they're like, I wouldn't have even noticed. Right?
Not until you call it out, right?
You got a good millennial angle going on, is what I thought. Right? That's the way to go. Okay, so good segue, and I want to kick it to both of you because this is a shared show today. 30 years is an incredible accomplishment. Like, I'm not a business owner or any of the things, and this podcast will be 3 years old in August. So I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know how I've made it 3 years. But or what do we call this? Live stream, podcast, whatever. It's like, what does 30 mean? 30 years mean to you guys, right? It sounds like a huge accomplishment. What does this like milestone mean for, I mean, not just business, but like we put our heart and soul into these things. What does it mean for you guys personally?
You want me to take this, Lacy?
I think this is all you.
Looks like you. It looks like, and then Lacy will be here for the comments. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously I have to pass credit off to the people that really founded this show, Susan Colvin and Nick Orlandino, Elliot Schwartz at Naz Toys, and my dad, Ron. I mean, the original concept was nothing like this existed. There was no shows. There were no conventions for this industry. It was very segmented. Obviously, everybody knew each other. I think when people come into this industry, they realize it's actually like kind of a really small, close-knit industry. And everybody kind of knows each other, but there was no conventions. There were no expos that, allowed manufacturers to get together and show their products. And so, I mean, it started as a really, really, really small show, and just something for business people to get together and entertain and meet one another and, hopefully expand their businesses.
Did you ever imagine like being here for 30 years?
No, I mean, I don't think that they imagined, I've been lucky enough to hear the stories of the beginning, and I don't think they imagined to be here for 2 years, but I bet if you ask any of them about their actual businesses in general, most of them didn't expect their businesses to be around more than a year or two anyways, when they first started, way back when. So, ANME's just been, I think, I'm biased, obviously, and I'm going to say that probably many times today, but I think ANME's a really important show. I mean, it's not just the first, but I mean, it was one of the only for a really, really, really long time. And I think that there are a lot of people in the industry today and people that have come and gone, but that like maybe ANME was the launching pad for their business. We used to have a show in January and July, and that sort of 6-month program, there's so many companies that came to that show. That's the first show they ever did. And that's what introduced them to our distributors and our retailers and vice versa. And there's probably so many companies that would tell you that whatever their first ANME was, that was like the launching pad for their business, because obviously our show way predates the internet or any sort of digital business opportunity. So really, if you weren't at an ANME or some sort of convention like that, there was really no way to meet your buyers.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or even know, like kind of what I'm struggling with the illumination line is we're going for organic growth. How do you make the impressions as quickly as you can? Trade shows to me are one of those ways because you're in the same room as all those people. Anyways, that's just what I think. Lacy, anything to add before I ask Chad about his first ANME ever? Because I'm just interested.
No, go right ahead.
Okay, because now I'm curious. You've opened the can of worms. Tell me about your first ANME. Were you working it? Were you attending it? What were your thoughts? Because I can remember mine, right? But I just always want to ask everybody.
So, I mean, I was young. I was probably 16, and I kind of remember it was at Universal City we used to do sort of like a split show between the Sheraton, and then you'd have to ride the elevators up to the Hilton, I believe it is. And so there was like 2 ballrooms, because at that point the show had already kind of spilled over. The Sheraton couldn't like hold everybody. So there was actually like the Hilton's right above the Sheraton at Universal Studios. And so I remember going there to help like the Doc Johnson booth set up, and I had no idea where to go. And I think I called Ron, and he said, you're going to meet a guy named Nick outside, and he'll show you where to go or whatever. That ended up being Nick Orlandino. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of like I don't know, like for me, it was just like, I didn't know where I was, what I was doing. There was, if you've ever been into a load-in day, it's like, it's very hectic. Everyone's like rushing around and whatnot. So, I mean, I just kind of got thrown right into the pit to, help everyone at Doc Johnson kind of set up the booth and put the products. But I was kind of fish out of water, because obviously I knew a lot of the people that were working there, but I didn't necessarily have a working relationship with them. I didn't really know the products. I mean, obviously I knew what we did, but I didn't, know what they were coming out with for that for that
Or
year.
because you're 16, you're like, I don't know, I carried a watermelon.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I have a box. Where do you want me to put it?
So it was just a lot of like helping, you know, like a lot of just like whatever anyone needed. And then I just kind of hung around for the few days of the show and met people, and I don't know, felt probably a lot of like imposter syndrome because obviously I had no meetings. I wasn't doing anything at the time, but it was, for me, it was exciting. Like I hadn't been to any other show before. I mean, we also, at that point in time, I think the other January ANME was still connected to AVN, but I had never done that because I was only working during the summers. So it wasn't until I started.
You had to still go to school, I'm assuming.
Exactly. So until I think I started working, you know, full time, that was like my first AVN in January, where we would have an ANME section to that show. But I mean, you know, there's so many people that I met that one year that obviously are still a big part of my life today, whether it is Elliot and Susan and you know, so many people that we still work with today.
For anybody who doesn't know the Elliot and the Susans and the Nick that he's talking about, the ANME show has kind of been centered around the founders, so to speak. And so that would be Doc Johnson, Nas Toys, and Cal Exotics, and then Topco existed for some time.
It was
at one point too.
It was Topco, Pipe Dreams, Cal Exotics, Naswalk, and Doc Johnson.
Just in case, I didn't know that my first ANME. I was like, what's a founder?
Yeah,
it's like a foundation thing.
Yeah, I think, adult manufacturers novelty expo, but then I guess it was ANME founders. That just gets shortened to founders sometimes.
Yeah, no, there's a whole verbiage that is out there that I try to remember. I know something like that, but I didn't.
But I think the thing that I didn't know at the time that I came to learn was that like it really was a labor of love for these people, that really like this industry was just not their livelihood, but it was, you know, it was their life. It was really important to them. And I mean, this show was about bettering the industry. And what I didn't realize was how much they ran it, you know, like how much they were a part of actually putting the show on. And especially back then, you know, a lot of credit to Nick, like, you know, he was the one that sort of took the lead. All the founders played a part, but like Nick ran that show, you know, for a really, really, really long time. And it was really important to him, you know. And we had people like, obviously Lacy's incredible now as our show director. I think we've always had show directors, but you know, the founders have always played you know, an important role in making sure that that show is put on the way that we envision it and that we hope, you know, it will be.
Nick was always a great shepherd of the confused or the lost, so to speak, right? Like my first meeting of Nick, because my husband, producer Ryan back there, thank you, he was in the industry before I was. And so he knew a decent amount of people and I didn't. So we were, what was it? I think we were in Europe for one of the, what was it, Aerofame maybe shows? And, you know, trying to navigate the trains and all these fun things because it was our first time traveling to Europe. And who did we find? Nick. And he made sure we went on the right train and did all the right things just because he just would attract the flock, as he would say.
Well, that was me my first year when all I heard was look for Nick.
We weren't even looking for him. He found us.
Exactly.
Lacy, what about your first ANME? Right. You weren't, so you don't have to talk to us about being show director because we'll work on that later. But as right, marketing with Chris K and Store Erotica, right?
So I have a very kind of similar story about Nick because
it's turned into like let's remember Nick.
I know, but this I have to bring this up because it's funny. So we were doing the Store Erotica Awards before I ever attended ANME. Nick he'd always call and debrief Chris and I on what the awards was going to look like. He didn't want to know the winners. He didn't want to know all of that. He just wanted to know like the flow. He wanted to make sure it was going to fit into the show essentially. So, and we were always like on guard when Nick would call. Like the receptionist would let us know that we called him the Godfather. The Godfather's on phone. And Chris and I would go in his office and we would have literally like a 2.5 hour powwow with Nick about what the award show should look like, what we're going to do at the show, like who we're going to talk to, all the things. So that
I mean,
was
make a close connection when you have to spend, your meetings 2.5 hours a day or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you start to get to know somebody. Yeah.
I mean, he only called us one time a year, and it was literally right before we came to the show, and we would talk through all this stuff because he, to Chad's point, he was very detailed with everything that was going on at the show. So I learned a lot of that before ever even stepping foot in Burbank. So that was, that was fun. And then just jumping right into just meeting everybody and falling in love with the industry. And I mean, genuinely, the 6 years that I was away, I couldn't wait until I came back. It was like people I hadn't seen in years, and it was just the same again, So yeah, that's definitely one of my first memories of the show.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
All right, I guess back to Chad for a minute, and then I'm gonna ask Lacy. I guess quickly, as you kind of like look back as we're having this like fun moment for Nick, right? What comes first to your mind when you're like, hey, I'm really proud of this in the show, right? Like, I'm sure you're super proud of the show, but like, what is there like one thing that you're like, I can't believe that it's turned into this, right? Like, I can't believe this live stream has turned into a place where people actually like ask me for referrals, even if I can't help them, kind of thing, right? I'm able to, makes me feel good when I'm able to spark inspiration and help other people connect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of what I said a little bit before, which is just like, I really do think, I'm proud of how much I think it's bettered and grown the industry. I mean, again, it was the foundation of conventions for this part of our industry. And I think that there's, when I look at how much it's grown and just like how many new companies are in the industry, year after year after year after year, I mean, I think from someone who is, owes sort of their entire life to this industry, that's kind of what I'm most proud of when I see where this has gone and what 30 years has done for our businesses, but everyone else's businesses. And I think that that's not just the people that are suppliers or vendors at the show, but obviously the customers as well, the distributors and the retailers and everyone else, because that's also how they grow, by meeting new people and finding new products and new suppliers. And you never know what product you're going to find there or what new company you're going to find there and how important that company may end up being to your overall business.
You're like you're super proud of the thrill, like the unknown part, right? Like the part that you can't necessarily track in a cycle or an ROI, the part that's like, wow, this new company is doing very well now, or these two people hit it off. And now everybody, like the rising tide, brings all the ships up, right? The more that we do together as an industry and support one another, the more we're able to influence and grow together.
Yes, I come from that sort of like ilk that like, again, I've been taught that when this industry wasn't banded together, there were outside forces that were, trying to pick the industry apart. And so that's where a lot of these things have come from, the Free Speech Coalition, the ANME Founders Show, sort of down the line, you look at some of these things that were developed specifically for this industry to be connected, to have a voice, and to sort of fight for one another, and to grow the power of ourselves, together. That I think ANME is a part of that. So that would be what I would pick.
Lacy, anything to add?
For me, it's really on the marketing and the event planning side. We send out surveys after the event, so I really I read every single one. I reply to people. I really want to learn what they do and do not like, what trends are happening in events as a whole, and in trade shows, because things are ever evolving. And really, what does that mean for this industry specifically? How do we, make those connections a little closer? What do we do for the nightly party that matters, or, you know, whatever it is. So that's kind of the piece that I really love and try to implement.
That's fantastic. That kind of is also a good segue to my next little part is, you know, making the most of your investment, whether you're a vendor, you're a buyer going to the show, you're running the show, you're supporting the show, you're a founder of the show. It is based on business, right? The marketing, the relationships, and the inspiration is all part of it. But you know, we've all got bosses. I gotta make sure we're still making the most out of being in front of all these people. And it looks like we have some friends, Eliana and Rem. Oh, but Blanca. Hello, Blanca. Good to see you. They're saying they're going to attend this year. I think it's the second ever show for Rem. But she's super excited to meet everybody. I just kind of wanted to lean into like, okay, let's help our audience get the biggest return, however they're attending. And, you know, just let's give some advice, right? Like if you're attending the show for the first time, what should we focus on, and what do we need to make sure? I don't want to say a mistake because you can always learn from a mistake, but like maybe some pitfalls to avoid.
I would say to make sure that you're making appointments with the vendors. A lot of times some of the buyers do not make appointments, and then they're not able to speak to the people that they want to talk to because they're so busy. So that is a for sure thing. To make sure that you are really getting yourself out there, really introducing yourself to everybody. There's nightly events for that reason, to really network and just meet somebody new, right? Because to Chad's point earlier, you never know who you're going to meet, you know, what your next sale may be, or your next best friend, or whatever it may be. So, you know, making sure that you are really just putting your best foot forward, making sure you're ready to go. You know, a lot of people, they're down there right at 9 o'clock and they stay all the way till, you know, midnight downstairs. So having everything in one concentrated area is also nice, because most people are at the hotel. If they do leave the convention area, they're at the bar, the restaurant, at the hotel. So it's really, you know, it's good to keep your, you know, eyes open and, you know, just be talking.
I know I would be one of those people that if I don't have an appointment, I'm going to spook someone and be busy anyways. So if you need appointments, let me know. We can help each other out there. But I'm also hearing it's interesting that there's a handful of buyers that are like not making appointments, because then they get kind of like back to back, and then they don't end up being able to spend the time with vendors when they needed to ask more questions or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I just find it interesting, right? There's a melting pot of how people want to, or at least how I see them managing their schedules on the show floor.
Yeah, that definitely happens every year. I get emails from people asking for like direct contacts because they just weren't able to speak to who they wanted to, just because they were busy or whatever, you know, they missed each other. So that it definitely happens.
Any advice on how retailers can balance buying with networking?
I would say try not to stay up all night.
That's a good one.
Sleep. That's always important.
I feel like the Vegas shows are harder, because then all of a sudden you're like, what? It's 4? Burbank, at least there's not a lot to do. What, like after midnight?
Yeah, well, sometimes they leave the bars open later than midnight because our group likes to keep going. So,
so guys, spend time networking, but
yep.
You know, hold your boundaries and drink a lot of water.
Exactly.
Anything to add, Mr. Chad?
No, I mean, I think Lacy hit the nail on the head. It's like the two sides of the coin, of like the social coin, right? Like on one hand, I would say just like make sure, especially if it's your first time, make sure you put yourself out there. I know it can kind of be like nerve wracking, you know, it's like sometimes it feels like everybody knows each other except for you, but it's like, I think our industry is just very welcoming. So, I mean, I would just say put yourself out there. And then the flip side of that is just like watch the clock and, you know, don't be, you know, so much, so social that sometimes you don't realize like there's not a lot of time. It's 2.5 days, you know, and like I know what happens every time is there's people that are like, you know, oh my God, it's whatever time it is on the last day, and it's like we're starting to shut down at 2, and it's like I didn't get to this and this, so I think it's at the end of the day, like it's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be like a good time, but it is also work. And so like you got to kind of set your schedule, try to adhere to it as best as possible, knowing that there's going to be little curveballs that get thrown in your way throughout the day, meetings that run long, people that relate to a meeting, or little sort of like impromptu stop and chats that happen. But they can snowball, so.
We got some fun comments come through. Nathan over at El Dorado said he's only got like 2 hours available to visit with exhibitors. So if you need someone at El Dorado, I'd get on that lickety split. And Blanca has a great piece of advice where she says, as for a room on the high floors that don't face the bar, right? That's a good piece of advice. Jade, you're wonderful. And she says, we're wonderful. And oh my goodness, I'm so excited to see you. Jade will be in the Vibin booth for anybody that needs to find Jade. And Nathan is letting the world know that you're going to have so much fun. Fun, yes, but business. We need to adhere to the business. Okay, so we have still some newbies, right? Maybe this is more of a Lacy, and then Chad can come in and sprinkle with some success. For those who haven't been, or maybe haven't been since post 2020, that seems to be our new marking of timelines. What can they expect? Can you walk everybody kind of through this year's event and maybe the social calendar? I know I spend a lot of time telling people like, hey, are you going to the thing tonight? And then they're like, what thing? I'm like, oh, the prom or the pool party or whatever it is.
Absolutely. So this year, because it's the 30th, there is a lot of concentration about it being a reunion. So a lot of people are coming back that haven't been here for a long time. We have a lot of new buyers that have never been to the show, a lot of new educators, which is exciting. The opening night party, XBiz will be putting on. It's going to be a black and gold reunion themed party.
Well, I don't love black and gold at all. It's not like the entire background here is black and gold.
So you're all set.
I'm so excited.
And then Monday night is the 30th anniversary party, which is also the 90s prom, which I am very excited about. And actually my outfit's coming tonight, so I'm very pumped about prom.
You'll have to send a picture.
And then Tuesday is Store Erotica Awards. So we always close the event with the awards, and which is always a great time as well. Something new that we're adding this year is there are going to be some panel sessions. So from 8 to 8:45 in the City Ballroom, AVN is hosting a couple panels. So that's exciting, and I hope everybody joins. Yeah. So yeah, so it's just, going to be a lot of new and old faces, and, a lot of people connecting again, which is exciting.
And if somebody wants to find that seminar schedule or the schedule of events, that's on the ANME Founders website, correct?
It is, yep, which is ANMEfounders.com.
Look, he did it. Haha, banner done. I love it. No, that's great. Chad, anything that you'd like to add as far as like walking people through this year's event and what new attendees should expect?
No, I mean, not really. I'm excited for them. I mean, I think they're really good ideas. Lacy and I think we talked about this at the end of the last show, this idea of like, what are we going to do for an anniversary and kind of like what's fun. And I don't know, I think that over the years we've done a bunch of different things, but I do feel that our industry is fun, and it's got a lot of colorful characters. And so I do think that sort of these dress up, costumey kind of parties where people have like a theme and can play into that always seem to have like the highest level of attendance and excitement about being there. So this idea of doing like a prom and like all the stuff that kind of comes with it felt like just like the perfect idea for this. So very excited for that. The Store Erotica Awards, is a mainstay at our show, and, something that, we always have. So it's good to celebrate, all the companies in our industry and, award people. So No, I think we got a great lineup for 3 full nights in Los Angeles.
Perfect. I'm glad we got to talk about the most important things, the social calendar, including the
Yep.
show. This is my show, so we'll do the shameless plug here. Illumination was nominated for 2 of the awards, I think Boutique Brand and New Item. So that is very exciting. And yours truly was nominated for Businesswoman. I don't know who accidentally put that in there, but I'll take it. It'll be fun. I also still don't know what I'm gonna wear. I'll work on that. Quickly, I have an Instagram comment here. So Ryan, I don't think you can see it. But Hanlo Products, they wanted to know, do you recommend brands offer incentives for placing orders within X amount of time? They're a small, newer brand here, and it sounds like they'll be attending the ANME show.
I mean, I would just tell you what we do, which is, I don't think we've ever had a year where we don't run some sort of ANME special. I mean, I think that's a smart idea, is to, people like to go to a show and know that they came there and actually did get something for attending. And that, again, if you're there continuously, you're going to sort of get on this cycle where people sort of know, like, there's always going to be something exciting. For us, we, probably come out with more new products than most companies do. So we'll always run sort of like a new product special, the things that we're debuting at the show for ANME. We might also bring some like more things that we're going to do that, would be available only at ANME, or maybe, if you place your order at the show. So that's an option, giving people X number of days after the show, but on sort of things that you showed at the show. But yeah, I mean, we've always done that. So I think it's a good idea. I think it gets people excited. And if you're there more years, you can always kind of, rely on building these programs out around different conventions.
No, I definitely agree. And for Hanlo Products, depending, since you said you were a smaller or newer brand, I feel like what gets the most traffic is something for free, right? More people will go to your booth if you have cool swag, or if you have a product that you're able to do some sort of gifting or giveaways. That makes sure that your booth is always busy, right? And it's an easy segue to kind of talk about your product. That way it doesn't, I mean, I am all for it, right? We all do some sort of bundles, right, for the show, because at least for me, I do want that sale in that specific timeline, right? Like, okay, maybe I would have gotten a sale anyways, but I'd rather be able to book it in a cycle that I know is coming for my forecasting. Thus, like, it forcing the time in a special tends to work for us. Can you tell me a little bit more about the educational opportunities? I know you mentioned the seminars, but can we take just a couple minutes to kind of walk through who is talking and why that might be important?
Oh, of course you had to ask me that.
I'm sorry. I can get the website up too.
There is going to be an AI panel. So learning all about how AI affects this industry, and what that specifically means for store owners and for the buyers and for the manufacturers themselves. We have a legal portion, which is super important to tune into. So, why do we need to put age verifications on websites, and what that means, and what are the legal things behind all of that? So I think that one is usually always very, high attendance, because legal stuff is important.
Well, it's when I mention to people about it, they're like, ew, you don't want age verification? Like, they don't know. It's like, on the surface, it sounds like a really great thing. And it's like, no, it's not that we're anti-age verification. We're just anti very general rules, because we don't know if we're still going to be able to keep our businesses.
Right. So they'll be diving deep into all of those topics. So they're definitely 2 must attend panels.
All right, guys, put those 2. Right, that answers my other question. Like, are there any events people absolutely shouldn't miss? I would say the seminars, but also I'm a geek. I love listening to other people talk about whatever's happening. All right, I got like 2 more questions, and then we'll do the rapid fires, and we'll have to call it a day, because I'm going to attempt to go make friends tonight. I got invited to like a neighborhood social. I moved from Arizona to North Carolina a little over a year ago, and it's, you know, when you're a house girl, you work at home, and then the only time you go out and do anything is for like more work stuff. I haven't made a lot of friends, so that's probably exciting for me. All right, Chad, I think this is a Chad.
Okay.
Yes, Nathan. He says, friends. Thank you, Nathan. Where do you see ANME heading in the next decade or so?
Wow, that's a good question. You know, I mean, I think, like Lacy said, listening to what people, you know, write us and let us know about the show, always taking into consideration what people want, what can we change, what can we do differently. I mean, even like the seminars, you know, like I can be honest, like this is something that we've been requested for quite a bit, you know, and we finally got it together and, you know, we're able to do it, you know, how we wanted to this year and implementing that. But I mean, I think just doing what we do best, you know, putting on a really good summer show. We've always had, you know, the July spot on the calendar. I think it's probably the perfect time to sort of like show new product and get, you know, a nice turn before the holidays where people can reorder if something's doing well, or to have it into their store. You know, for the holiday through Valentine's. So
yeah, you got to plan for the busy season. It doesn't just happen in a week, right? You got to manage.
So you know, it's a great time of the year. It's nice to be in LA over the summer, anyways. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like, you know, hopefully I'll be here to celebrate our 40th and our 50th.
That's fantastic. As all of the industry, right, especially retail, continues to evolve, do you still see industry trade shows, you know, still bringing the industry together and being a big part of the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, you probably ask 10 people that question and get 10 different answers. You know, I mean, there's people who
I like to ask it. I'm a leader.
I mean,
I want to know all the sides.
There are people who like love conventions and expos and think that they're super important. There's people that hate them. There's people that love to hate them. You know, I like in-person building, you know, for lack of like a better word. Like again, this is what I grew up on, you know, and having sort of this experience and having this, you know, in person, I've always been someone who's been a fan of conventions. And I think that even though there are a lot of opportunities, and I think, you know, during COVID, we did 2 digital shows. You know, I know that we, you know, outfitted our showroom with like these crazy cameras so that we could do all these sort of like digital meetings with, you know, we'd have the wall of product behind us, and it's something that we still use, but like there's no replacement for going out, being with, seeing stores, seeing our distributors, being with our customers, and, you know, being able to do that all in one place at a convention like ANME. I don't think there's a replacement for that. So, you know, regardless of how much things evolve and how much more they go online or digital or whatever it may be, it's still that tactile, in-person, you know, response that I feel like can't be replicated.
Yeah, you can't replicate the energy of when you meet someone, right? Like,
I mean, you're going to go to this thing tonight to meet friends, right? You know?
Yes, right. I hope. I'll keep.
I mean, but like it's different. Like you can meet friends online, but like I don't know. I think whatever you're going to do tonight is going to be more rewarding.
Here's to hoping, right? No, I don't get my hopes up too much, but I'm excited. Lacy, anything to add there?
You don't know if you don't try.
This is true. This is what I was telling my kids the other day. I was like, well, if you don't ask for what you need, the answer is already no. Right? How's anyone that out?
Just to add to that, I think connections are everything, right? So, you know, to piggyback on Chad, it's every event is, you know, as the world changes, as certain things happen, you know, we evolve with whatever that means. So events are not going to go away. They just may pivot in a certain way, and that's okay. And it may go back to it, but it's just what we do with it and the connections we make while doing it that really matter. So,
love that. All right, audience. Anything else? Oh, we got Ren. I think they are amazing, especially for buyers. I can see everything up close and get to see the amazing people behind the awesome products. It makes me feel closer to everyone, and that's important. Ren, you got to sell it. Right? Like you're if anything, you're who we want to get the closest with, at least from my opinion, because you're on the floor. You deal with the end consumer, which I think is so important, and more people need to listen to the retailers. Not saying you're not. I just think you're doing all the right things, my Rem. Good job. Anything else to add before I go to rapid fires? And then I will release you for the evening.
No, I'm ready for rapid fire.
You ready? Okay. So you've attended countless trade shows. So just tell me during trade show time, coffee or cocktails?
Cocktails.
I mean, cocktails at night, coffee in the morning.
Both.
Do you think the best networking happens on the show floor, in the hallway, or at dinner?
Hallway.
Dinner.
What is your biggest trade show pet peeve?
People that show up without registering.
I better make sure my stuff's all together, right?
Close talkers.
Oh, like they talk too close to you like this? They're like, you're like, this is my dance space and that is your dance space, and they get in your dance space?
Actually, I have two. Close talkers and people that tell you they're not feeling well after 30 minutes of close talking.
Like, how do you just gently spray them down without being rude? Yeah, that can be a thing. That can be a thing. Most forgotten thing people should pack for your trade shows?
Band-Aids.
Okay.
You're always on your feet and get blisters.
That's a good one. Advil. Mine would be liquid IV. I cannot travel without my liquid IV. You can't hydrate fast enough. I don't know.
For a January show, I would have said a raincoat because it somehow rained in LA for like 10 straight years during our January show.
That is true. I remember having to tell the team to pack, whatchamacallit, those big tarps, right? Just so we could bring in our shit.
It was nuts. It was like literally 10 straight years of like torrential downpour during our January show.
January is always an interesting month. Rem, you are the smartest. She says both. Espresso martini.
That is true. That's a good answer.
Fabulous answer. What's your favorite city that you guys have hosted an event in?
Burbank.
Okay, perfect.
Burbank.
Oh, we love Bob Hope Airport and the Burbank. If ANME had a mascot, what do you think it would be? Did you ever have a mascot? Should we work on this?
It's a good idea.
Yeah, no, I never even thought about it. I mean, I think what would it be?
I personally really love Shots, little
Like
condom.
the squishies.
The squishies. Okay. Yeah. Something like that would be fun.
Like a squishy, like Funko Pop looking thing. Maybe just of the founders, little squishy.
You do like
Funko
a Nick
Pop.
puppet.
There you go. Nick puppet.
I love it. All right. Last but not least, describe ANME in one word.
Fun.
I was going to say exciting.
Hey, I'll take exciting, right?
All right.
Okay, we got to hold on. Elena here says she's got the mascot. She's getting a photo.
Uh-oh.
We're waiting for this. But in the meantime, thank you, Lacy and Chad, for coming. And I hope this has helped make anybody out there like a little bit excited for the show, and they feel like they got a little extra prep because, oh, she cannot add it. This is sad. You'll have to send it in the DMs and I'll post it maybe. Poor Elena. Thank you for participating though. We were very excited. All right, back to the thank yous. Thank you for coming and kind of just exploring a bit of explaining the show for a new generation, not generation, but right, like 30 years doesn't happen by accident. And I'm sure you've had to, like, as we talk, evolve and take all the feedback. And now I know how important those surveys are, guys. Don't skip the survey. Lacy actually reads
Yeah,
them.
please tell us. We want to hear.
So just before we wrap up, let me know, give your shameless plugs here, whatever you want to talk about, and then let everybody know, where they need to go if they need to register, where they want to stay up to date on anything, or how to get a hold of you guys if they've got any questions.
The website, ANMEfounders.com, the attendee tab, they can register right online. We will be accepting badges all the way until the day before. So
Yes, you need to get your badge. That's another thing we didn't talk about. If you don't know, you must have badge.
yes, you must be approved by me.
And you get to wear a cool name tag all week. Super fun. Chad,
I have no plug. Hit up Lacy if you need anything.
I was like, any shameless plugs? Tell us where we need to go.
Please talk to Lacy if you need anything.
Perfect. All questions, comments.
And I'll be at the Doc Johnson booth.
And then, yes, you can, because you should be going to that booth at some point. So if you haven't made your appointment,
You can
here's
find
your
me.
prompt.
You can find me at Doc Johnson.
You guys rock. Thank you again so much for coming.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tori.
I can't wait to see you guys in Burbank in a few weeks. And if anybody here has enjoyed today's conversation or was inspired by it, feel free to do the sharing and the liking. It helps me, even though I don't know what I'm doing yet. We're going to figure it out. And if you're heading to ANME, make sure you stop by and say hello to everybody. And if you need meetings, reach out. Lacy can help you. If you can't figure out how to get to somebody that's maybe going to be there, she's the queen of all that. So until next Tuesday, everybody, I will see you.
All right.